Let's now take a tour down South Walnut. Over here, of course, was Tovey's many years ago. Most of these buildings are pretty original. This was the old Hendricks furniture store. They also made coffins. And actually, there's some footage from Sharon Hendricks' parents or grandparents shot from about right here, showing a parade in the 1930s or 40s coming right up this street. And of course you can see the old police station there, and of course where this building is here, Allion, used to be the old police station. When I say old police station, this wasn't the building. That building is gone, caught on fire, and this replaced it. That became the police station for some time. Of course, now is the John Waldron Arts Center. Hard to see, but at the very top of this building, this is the Knights of Columbus building. Still is owned by the Knights of Columbus. And actually, just to the left here, they still meet. Right down here. Alright, where that parking lot is, used to be a number of different houses, cafes. In their parking lot, in the parking lot here would have been a house, and then another house, and then another house, right here along this strip where the parking lot is. A couple Italianates, some nice looking buildings. They're gone, of course. Was replaced, this spot, for a while with a gas station. Well, this building's been around for a while. This is the Benkart, Jones, McGlasson, and Benkart attorneys at law. And it is one of the older buildings here along this stretch, and one of the only ones left that was built from that era. Well, Expert Tire, they've been around for a long while. I think they were Goodyear and a number of other places for a long time. And over on the right here, which is now insurance services, actually used to be where they sold cars. In fact, you can see a lot of those pictures at the in the History Center collection. People in the 50s and 60s buying the cars. In the background, when they take photos of them, of some of them, you can see the convention center behind them in the photo. Alright, we're crossing the street now. On this corner, it's been a lot of things. Some of you may last remember it was like a hot dog stand. Before that, it was a Shell station. In the background there is the old Fleener building, built by Hot Tamale Joe Fleener in the 20s. Unfortunately for Joe, the Great Depression left him penniless, and he lost the building. As you can see, they're making some repairs. Looks like they're going to put in some new windows here. Oh, that's some nice artwork. Now, before Joe built this building here, Fleener building, and before this was here, of course, there was a stretch of homes here, residential homes. A couple of them built by John Nichols. Now we're behind the Fleener building, and I just remember what they're doing with all this. This is going to be the new bus station, or I guess the bus terminal. Well, I had to backtrack to this corner on Walnut because this used to be the corner where the Salvation Army was for a few years. There are a number of buildings along this side, this stretch on our right here, that were burnt down or, in some cases, torn down. This was where the old gasoline station, or around where it used to stand. It caught on fire. Actually, in the photo of it, in the background, you can see the old Central School, about right there. Some interesting little floor paneling still left here. Don't know what from. So as I said, there are more buildings that were torn down. This might have been actually where the gas station was, or closer to it. This building's been around for a while. I know it's got a funky cover, the Remax building, but it is pretty close to being an original. Over here, on this side of Walnut, would have been houses. On this side, we get back to, well, are they original or aren't they? Well, some of them are. Some of them aren't. But most of what was here before has been long torn down. Chocolate Mousse not as long, but still a Bloomington classic. That's the May building there. Now the interesting thing about the May building is it's still owned by the Mays. The interesting thing is that it used to be where their house stood and where May's Cafe used to stand. And those of you who have the book are familiar with that. In fact, I think the photo is taken from right about here. On this side, as we turn around, which I find really cool, when this was rebuilt, or renovated, I should say, into apartments and business, they left the old shoe store stuff up. Mitchell Brothers building, built in 1927. Still here, and that's nice. Now, one of the very few actual residential homes that are still along this stretch is this little guy right here, 410 and 412, South Walnut. The classic, because it still has that old 60s, the old 60s ugly paneling, which they're going to fix here at Players Pub. And because underneath this veneer is actually a pretty nice building. Again, a lot of the buildings in Bloomington look like this, including the town cinema, i.e. the Harris Grand, even had this paneling. A lot of buildings downtown had this paneling, actually. Anyhow, this used to be the opening for the Boxman's restaurant. And for years, this is where the Boxmans set up shop and sold their famous chicken, their rabbit. Yep, they sold rabbit. But then eventually, Mr. Boxman moved into this building here and became part of the Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise. That lasted for a while until the Colonel demanded that his building look like all the other Kentucky Fried Chicken buildings. And that's when Mr. Boxman said, you know what? Why don't you just take your Kentucky Fried Chicken and shove it? He closed down this KFC, the Boxman's KFC, and started selling his own chicken somewhere else. Well, now we're approaching what was, once upon a time, Bloomington High School. And you can see the two buildings from here if you're there now. Be walking through the front gates, and the building would sit right where the postal office is now. It used to be a Ponderosa. On our left here would have been the Dairy Bar, another place, cool places the kids like to hang out at after and maybe during lunchtime or maybe skipping school. You'll see these steps here, which used to go to the second building, which would have sat right on top of what is college now. And of course, college used to come to a T, so there was no road going through here.